nice to meet you. I've seen the film, I absolutely love it. I think it's definitely going to be one of my top picks of the festival.
Oh, really?
So tell me, where did the concept for this come from?
It's based on a book that has been written by a California novelist, an ex-con. He just wrote 2 books. And I read it by chance when I was 15, and I kept thinking of it because it's so simple. But it's a way of twisting a very classic revenge vigilante movie. So I thought it was a great way to do something pretty original with a very iconic setup, like the tough guy helping someone. And the book was very different from that kind of stories.
What really surprised me about the film is just how emotional it is. I felt really emotional by the end, and I was kind of I was in pieces actually by the time the credits rolled, and I just felt very, very emotional. I mean, how did you pack that kind of emotion into a film which typically probably wouldn't have that kind of emotion?
I think the challenge was, even if you're following him like the ex-convict all the time, to be with the girl, to make sure that her whole experience goes from a nightmare to a dream, but at the end of the movie you feel like she might have dreamt of the whole story. So it was try to create that whole atmosphere and make sure you will feel things the way she felt them.
I mean, Roland is exceptional in the lead role. How did he get involved with the film, and what did you see in him that you thought was perfect?
The first time I saw him, he hasn't shot yet Land of Mine, so I just saw him in Northwest in that very cool noir Danish movie, and I thought it was really real. I didn't know about his story, that he was actually an ex-con, and I just sent the script, and then we met, and I was like, well, with so much the character, it's going to be awesome.
I mean, one of the things that I was expecting when I started watching it is that Clara and Danny might have some kind of romance. I was glad they didn't go there.
Oh, yeah?
But they have kind of, it's more like a father-daughter bond that they have. What did you do to help them foster that chemistry and to bring that side of their relationship out?
I think it was in the script, but I never expected that they will go along that well. It's just they're really great actors. And yeah, there is that kind of you never know if they're going to have a love affair in the beginning or if it's going to turn into a father and daughter relationship. And I like that ambiguity in the beginning. And then it turns into a very father and daughter relationship. And no, they made it happen. I mean, it wasn't the script, but you never know if and when you're going to have such a chemistry between themselves. But they kept rehearsing all the time, talking about their characters together all the time. So it was great. I was blessed to have them.
So what would you say was the biggest challenge when you were making the film?
I think try to play with the cliche in a different way, because it's clearly the most dangerous guy around. So it was just the balance of everything, I guess, to make sure it would be different from a simple vigilante movie, and it would much more try to be a character-driven drama and the story of these misfits that kind of harm themselves without wanting to, and they're going to be once in their life trying to help each other. So I think that was the biggest challenge, to make it human.
The other thing that I found myself really connecting with is I was so on board with Danny throughout the whole film. And then the minutes of violence, I kind of felt no, don't let yourself down, come on, don't do this. And I felt so bad for him. I mean, what was it like directing Roland in those moments?
It felt great because you at that moment of the film, you kind of think is the classic good guy. That is a violent criminal, and when it comes to violence, that's his nature. So I want to make sure that it was not, I don't know, white knight, and that the audience could lose him at that moment because he becomes a murderer, and there's nothing that excuses that. So I don't know. I think he has dealt with that violence in his past, so he can recreate it pretty easily. but it was hard even for him, I think, to kill all the love that has been built around the character in that moment. And that's really weird because the audience, they all like react in a different way. Some are like, yeah, he was right to do that, and like most of the people are like, no, it wasn't right. And that's what I was looking for, because I still, well, especially like as a European, I think it's much more our culture. We have a problem with like vigilante movies, because no one can like legitimate such a use of violence, and that's what I was trying to play with that during the whole movie, and it was the same for him. So I told him, remember, you're the most dangerous animal around. Even the people that are gonna come at you, they're like punk ass criminals compared to you. So you're the white shark, and he played with that in a cool way, I think.